Hello and welcome to Center for Victory's podcast of Your Best Day Yet. At Center for Victory, we're here to help unlock, reinforce, and enrich relationships through personal and professional development. I'm Eric Guy, Chief Victory Officer at the Center for Victory. Today, I have with us a very near and dear person to our family now. It's great to have you, Tony. Really, Antonia Isabella Mazzullo.
Guy now.
It's Guy now, right? So you're the new guy on the block.
Yeah.
All right. So that's why I wanted to kind of have you on, talk about your kind of journey so far with us and the family, but also what it means. You know, you got married very young. I mean, you guys, you waited for you're still actually in school, but you're in your doctoral program. Mm-hmm. But you did wait for my son to get through his undergraduate work and got married shortly after. And it's going well for you. But because of what we do here, you know, people are always asking. So you know this, but I want you kind of to be the advice giver today. So I appreciate you being here. Wanted to start off by asking what you've learned so far about marrying into the family. But before we go there, let's talk about how we met. Okay. And I'll just a little preference, maybe a warning to the folks that are listening. You are very much like my daughter, and I don't really get teary-eyed about much, but when it comes to the two of you,
you're gonna make me cry.
It's kind of ferocious. So just a story for the audience that's listening. I I was honored by being the best man at your wedding and had this big long spiel for you. I think I did pretty well with my son. And then I got to your part and I knew I had to have it written out too, because it was written out. But the problem was I looked at you probably about after 2 or 3 sentences and I actually couldn't finish everything I had written. And I always say you make me cry, but that's just kind of the person you are. Not making people cry all the time, but you're very empathetic, and I think that's why you fit into our family. But we'll talk about that. But do me a favor, tell us the story of how you met my son Josiah. Like, how did that all first happen?
Well, I feel like originally we met at a murder mystery party through the church ministry we were a part of, Alliance Christian Fellowship. So I don't literally recall meeting him at all, but apparently he said we met at this party.
Okay.
But we went to a missions trip in Peru and we were both on the same team and we really got to know each other. I didn't think anything like about him afterwards. I came home for the summer and I was like, all right, that was fun. But we reconnected in the fall and we just really got to know each other. But I feel like most people know about our trip to New York. I think everyone thought we were dating at that point and we weren't, but we had tickets to go see a concert and drove all the way to New York and we literally got there and we realized, I was like, why can't I find the tickets on my phone? Like, what the heck? And we went on Instagram and there's a post and they were like, oh, by the way, the concert's canceled. The building caught on fire. And I was like, oh my gosh, I barely know this guy. And we just drove 3 hours to New York City. And I was like, I feel so bad. Like, we skipped class for this. Like, he's so detailed. He loves to be in class. And I made him skip. Like, he was so mad about it. But then we ended up spending the whole day in New York. We're like, let's just make the most out of it. So that's kind of how we really connected. But we just spent a lot of time together, through ACF. Yeah. And then one thing led to another.
That's actually the first day I met. I didn't meet you face to face, but we met over the phone because you all were on your way up there.
Yep.
And I remember him. I think we were in the car driving somewhere too, and he's like, "Hey, mom, dad," I couldn't believe he skipped class. That was like,
I know.
Man,
it took a lot of convincing.
Yeah. Wow. Good for you. And that's when it kind of clicked. And I'm like, I don't know, a Tony, I'm like, is he your friend? What, and he said, no, Dad, Tony with an I, not Tony with a Y. I'm like, oh, a girl. Okay. So, that's kind of how that all started. And it was then the first time we actually met you. So you both are from Penn Staters.
Mhm.
And the first time we met you, if anybody's listening and they know anything about Penn State, they know the corner room.
Yep.
And that was the first time we met you. Now, you were a little quiet.
Yeah, I was really shy.
You were shy.
I didn't know what to expect because we were dating, but we weren't dating.
Okay,
Like
what does that mean?
I don't know. Like we were like, we like each other, but do we want to date?
Okay.
And I was just really nervous because he talked so highly of you and Tammy.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like, do I need to like dress up all fancy to the corner room for this? But
Side note, I never asked you this, but who made you more nervous, Tammy or me?
I feel like it was equal.
It was equal. You just nervous to meet us both.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just talked so highly of you guys, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't feel worthy to like meet these people. Like they're like royalty of Pittsburgh.
What did he say nice about me?
He just I can't even begin to explain it. The way that he talks about you and Tammy is just very endearing to me. And that's like one of the things that drew me towards him is like he just really cares about his family. And I care so much about my family. So the way that he talked about you guys, I was just like he was talking about Center for Victory and just all the work that you guys do. And I was like, this is really cool. Like, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So that it was, just how, speaking of that, like what drew you to him? After, of course, probably after you met him and you saw the pedigree, you were like, wow, man, if he turns out anything like his dad, I've got a ticket.
For sure.
Yeah.
That was phase one.
But really, what drew you to him?
I think originally when we were in Peru, I was immediately drawn to Josiah, and there was another guy, one of our friends, his name was John. They were goofballs the entire time, and it was my first time out of the country, and I was super nervous, but I just started hanging out with John and Josiah during that trip, and they would have me crying from laughing so hard. And so I think when we came back to school in the fall, just spending time with him, like his humor really caught my attention. But honestly, like he's just so confident. Like he just very much commands a room. He would walk into ACF, and I always joke with him, like we could walk into a room and everyone would acknowledge him because he's just so outgoing and like he loves people so much. And I always say that like I'm kind of in the corner, like everyone notices both of us, but they're always like Josiah. But I just love his confidence and just how he's very sure about the things that he does, and like he's just very gentle and caring. And I think that's like those are the qualities that I looked for in a person, and I think he just like demonstrates that every day. I feel like I'm still like drawn towards it, obviously.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I had you on is because the reason that I asked that question is because when I watched the two of you, and I've told this to other people, because obviously, we actually Tammy and I got married before you guys. I mean, age wise, I mean, we were only a month out of college, both of us. So we were just a little bit younger. And, a lot of people are like, you shouldn't do it. Now, even today, it's even kind of more taboo. But, one of the things that I love to watch about you, when I know he loves you too, but I always say to people, because they say, well, how's your daughter-in-law? Right. They know Josiah if they're talking to me.
Yeah. So
that's where this question comes a lot. And I said, well, when I watch her, I love the way she loves him. And I love the excitement, because he's a lot like me. I mean, he just dumb jokes and like forever.
Never be too serious.
Yeah. But I love watching the two of you together, and I think you're already a great wife. I know that you want to be better, and that's a good attribute about you. But what do you attribute that to? I mean, how is there things that like, you talked about him drawing near to him, but are there things that you do intentionally to do that? Because I can tell you right now, I mean, even though we did get married young, like you guys did, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
And it was more on my side. I had to grow up. But and I was very angry too. Not nearly as angry as when we before we met, but just an angry person. What do you attribute that to anything?
I feel like it's a twofold. One,
Okay.
I feel like our faith is the foundation of our marriage. I think
Okay.
without it, we wouldn't be together. And two, I feel like communication is the biggest piece. When we dated, we struggled a lot with communicating, and the majority of our relationship was back and forth long distance. I lived in Michigan for a year, and then I moved to Pittsburgh for grad school, and Josiah was still in state college. So doing long distance like meant we had to work on communication. But I feel like communication has been something that we've worked very hard at together. And I think we're still learning how to communicate, but I think it's just constantly improved. I think if I were to make a graph, it just goes straight up. I feel like I sound like him because
Yeah,
he's so
that's what I
loud.
was. That's what I was just saying.
I didn't like that. That's not me at all. But I feel like our communication just really defines who we are. And I think being open and honest with each other is what we really have made a commitment to
Yeah,
day in and day out.
and I think that's what brought you back together because you guys did decide to take a break for a while.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the communication. I think you both. And I don't want to speak for you. I'm just what I heard from both of you is both of you worked on both sides of those things and said, hey, look, how can we make this happen, right?
Yeah, we were hot messes like when we first started dating. I don't think either of us were ready. I think we both fell for each other very quickly, and we didn't realize like it's not always rainbows and butterflies in a relationship. Like there are going to be good days and bad days. And I think taking time apart, we just really, I don't know. I love how we came back together because we both realized how much we grew, and we realized the potential of like what will it look like if we grow together and how that can flourish into a marriage.
Mm-hmm. And you are a talker and communicator.
I
And
talk too much.
well, I don't know about too much, but because I talk a lot too. How's the communication been? Even with the family, not talked about it with Josiah, but in the family pre and post, I do.
I think I do, I was very nervous. Like before even getting engaged, I think I was a little intimidated by the family because the way that Josiah speaks about you guys, like I said, is so highly. So I think I was very intimidated. I like just remember the first few times I came to visit, I was like, I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. Like everyone is super open with each other and it's weird. I was like, I don't like this at all. But I feel like as I got to know you guys, I think the summer that we got engaged just really sparked like a huge connection between me and like everyone in the family. And I think it just naturally happened. But I think after marriage, I think we've just gotten so much closer as a family. And I think it's been so great that we get to see you guys like pretty much every weekend now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just like a once a month or once every 2 weeks. Like we're staying for a weekend and then we're leaving again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's been nice. I mean, and I think, so if I could just tell these stories too, because I mean, I like to have fun. I like to, the people that I'm close to, I really like to have fun with and mess around with. And I remember a couple of the times when you would say things to me, especially like via text, and wonder, was that okay? Like, I hope I didn't offend him.
Yep.
And if I wish you could see me during those times, because I'm like busting a gut here, like, oh my god, it's so funny. Like she's saying this, and then I get back. Was that okay to say, or whatever it was? Like it was like, or Josiah would say something to me. I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, it's fine. Like I'd rather be that open and have this and be that playful, because that's what I have with Tam. Well, that now, but I'm just more so for the people that are listening of what makes being open, being honest. I think obviously the empathy piece. I've seen that flourish with the both of you, and I think that is actually, that is a gift of yours, and I really appreciate that in you, because that it kind of aligns with what we do. And I see how you are with your family, which is great. And you have all that going for you, even as a person, just to kind of fit in. And I hope that you feel like you fit in. Are there any, going back to the first question that, we really didn't answer yet, the lessons learned? So, and this is kind of wide open. And think about somebody who, might be just kind of getting into this with potential in-laws
Yeah.
and things like that, because I know a lot of young people struggle with that, and maybe they're not necessarily as young as you, but there's still that like weirdness and all
Mhm.
that because you're mixing everything. um like lessons learned, what do you wish you maybe did more of initially?
I think just being more authentic. Not
Okay.
that I wasn't authentic, but I think sometimes I could let my shyness get in the way when I first meet people. And that's what I love about Josiah. Like he's never shy with anyone. He'll go up to a stranger and be like, "Let me tell you about my life,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Back up 10 feet from them, please." So I feel like sometimes my shyness can get in the way of that. But I feel like if I could change one thing, it would just be just allowing myself to be myself and to be comfortable and just jump right in and not worry about. I worry about judgment a lot from
Yeah.
others. And I think coming into a family, Josiah and I've talked about it from both sides. Like it is a little intimidating. You're entering someone's family that they've grown up with their entire life, and all of a sudden you're a new piece in it. And like, how do you fit into the puzzle? And like, how is your relationship going to change, like with your dad or with your mom or sibling? So I feel like that was something that was hard to kind of wrap both of our heads around. But I think just allowing yourself to jump right in and not be scared of what could happen. I think we're very fortunate to have two families who love us so much. So I don't think it was a problem at all. I think everyone immediately loves both Josiah and I
Hmm.
from both sides. So I think just like staying true to yourself.
Yeah, that's nice. And I mean, the first time I met your parents, I got to spend the day with your dad, and it was like, I just remember sitting in your living room thinking, I just met this guy, like, and we're
Yeah.
just chilling, talking about like, I'm like, wait, I just met him today.
Yeah.
Like when I left, I was like, oh man, it's like a friend.
Yeah.
So it was nice, and your mom melts my heart just because the salsa.
We love Bevy.
Yeah, I mean, the salsa is top notch, man. That is like the best. But kind of getting back to that, I think there was some fear on my part because, well, one, when he went to Peru, I remember him calling me. He's like, "Dad, I'm going on a mission trip," because that's what he and I
Yeah.
did. I mean, he went on his first one. I took him out of the country when he was 10 years old.
Yeah.
And so he saw all that. And I was excited at first because I thought I was going.
Yeah.
And he's like, Dad,
Plot twist.
yeah, no, I'm going. And then, it was just weird because we had all the things that we did together.
Yeah.
I really had to address that. So I was probably, if somebody said, well, what would you do more of? Like I asked
Mhm.
you, I probably would have gotten involved a little bit more with you initially,
Mhm.
um, as much as we could, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, you were in Michigan doing that stuff, but I did like when you moved down to Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
I think we probably saw you a little bit more often than we saw him.
Yeah.
Um, at that point in time, because he was out 3 hours away and you were only about 50 minutes away.
Mhm.
And I wish I would have, if I had any regrets. I mean, this was not like horribly
Yeah.
regretful about it, but I mean, I would have just made an effort to do more of that.
Mhm.
And because it was weird. I mean, like I started to say at my best man speech, like I felt like I was losing my best friend,
Yeah.
and like you're in the way,
Yep.
right? And I think people don't realize that. I mean, I spent every minute with them. I mean, I would
Mhm.
just come home off of trips, and I mean, I would be, I haven't gotten a speeding ticket since I've been in college because I'd just be whizzing down the highway
Yeah.
just for 15 minutes, and I'd have Tammy meet me halfway to take them somewhere
Mhm.
just so I could be there, right? And um so it was a lot, but it wasn't, I really had to see it. I think some people, why I'm saying this is I think some people see it as a loss.
Mhm.
It's been a huge gain for
Yeah.
us and for me. And um I'm not gonna look at you right now
I
because
know
you're
you
gonna
have
make me
tears in
cry.
my eyes.
Yeah. So, I mean, is there anything you wish you would have did less of?
I don't know, less of. I think where my mind is right now is just how much Josiah and I put a priority on family. Like, I think even while we were engaged, we made it a priority. Like, every time Josiah would come up to Pittsburgh to visit, it was we were coming up to visit you guys. Or like, if I went to state college, we were visiting my family. And I think that's just like such an important piece to any relationship. Like, I think part of maybe a personal struggle, I don't know how much Josiah could speak on it, but I think I had trouble letting go of my family, even though I live like, see that I'm gonna cry. But I think it's hard because in a way it's like I'm letting go, but I'm gaining at the same time. How do I make it work? Like I don't want to disconnect any of it. But I think getting married, both families have just been so great about like, let's spend time together. And I think we value that so much. I don't think we could do, I don't know. Our families are our support systems. I don't think you can do life without your people.
Yeah.
And like you guys are our people, like my family, like everyone's a part of our circle. And I think that's just like so crucial to us.
Yeah. And I feel the same way, even though, of course, we're about 3 hours away from, well, I'm about 3 hours away
Yeah.
from your parents, and just being able to talk to them, even
Mm-hmm.
I think even the last time you were out there, we FaceTime you guys, and I got
Yeah.
said hello to both your parents and Jeannie and
Yeah.
everybody, and that was good. I mean that was it's good. It's a good feeling,
Yeah.
right?
I like how
And
connected everyone is. I
yeah,
didn't expect that. I don't know. I feel like I've seen people with in-laws where it's like they don't really talk to each other at all, but I feel like our situation's just so unique and how close-knit everyone is, and I just love that.
yeah. And if I could encourage people just to be more intentional about
Mhm.
those things, it really does work out. Um, not that I didn't think it would.
Yeah.
Um, but there's always that little hesitation there, and I do wish I would have got, if I had the opportunity, just a little bit more involved. So
Hmm.
um, there every once in a while. uh, you talked about everybody feeling included and valued and things like that. So as you have had time to settle in here,
Hmm.
um, any advice on or suggestions? I'm just curious as an outsider, uh, for things that we should keep doing as a family.
I think I don't know. I like our weekly chats. I think our weekly chats go a long way. And I think I don't know. I think it honestly starts like at a marital level. Like Josiah and I, every week we do a weekly reset and we just sit down together on a Sunday night. We make a good meal. We have a whole little calendar that we have and we just check out like how did our previous week go? What do we have ahead? Like what do we need from each other? Like what did we do well? What did we not do well on? I think that it starts there. And then how we interact with each other feeds into how we interact with our families. And I think just getting to communicate with you guys is helpful for us because I think it just really solidifies like how in sync you can be with not
Yeah,
just your spouse but with your family too.
yeah, and we sometimes we talk for quite a bit,
Yeah.
um, which is nice, right?
Hmm.
Which is nice because now I don't really. I mean, I used to follow them all around to their events, and
Yeah.
now now we can look forward to that, and it does make me pay attention to my phone a little bit more though,
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, they're calling, like, cut it down. All right. So that was, I mean, that's a great suggestion. Kind of last thing, um, any advice for our listeners who are maybe marrying into new families themselves, like being part of? What would you say? Is there like three or four top things, or I mean, you could list more than that, but I didn't know if what comes to mind for you.
Um, always be yourself.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to show like who you are because you're gonna reveal yourself eventually. You can't put on a show forever.
Hmm.
Just be true to yourself. Lean into what your in-laws have to offer for you. I think I don't know. I feel like I've always been a part of the family. I think that's like something that means so much to me. I feel like I have talked to people who are like, we don't talk to our in-laws as much as you do. Like that's crazy. Or like it's so crazy that you and Josiah go and visit family all the time. So I think that's just something that means so much to me. It's just being intentional with getting to know your in-laws and your new family. They're not it's not a burden to have new people in your life. Like they're your family now too. So
Yeah.
just really take time to get to know everyone. I don't know, always crack jokes.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't go a week without it. So
Yeah, we were just talking about how we
yeah.
make each other laugh. Yeah, and I would get yeah, I mean that's like a no-brainer. Yeah, I mean you have to laugh. I
Yeah.
mean I know I'm corny, but and I would also say that is one thing I absolutely love about you. It doesn't matter what kind of joke I tell.
Mhm.
You are the always one. You will always laugh. And I don't know if that's just because everybody's immune to it now.
I just feel bad.
Yeah. And I still appreciate it. I don't care. So that was good. Yeah, that's really good advice. I appreciate you being on. Welcome to the family.
Yeah.
I mean, I've told you that time and time again. I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
And you're going to soon be our doctor here, not too far in the future. And you put a lot of hard work in. You really deserve that. And hopefully we can get you to come back here because I love talking to you. I think you bring a lot of good advice from outside the family too, because you've seen, from an outsider's perspective. So hopefully we'll get you back on. I know you love to do this, so it's easy for you.
Yeah.
Right?
So easy.
All right. Very good. Well, that's all for today, folks. Thanks for watching and listening. Please make sure you subscribe hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when we post next. For more information, you can get in touch with us at centerforvictory.com. And remember, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, make this your best day yet. See you soon.